One of the things I enjoy doing is grilling food with charcoal and wood. One of the secrets to what I do is I make my own charcoal. Today I'll be making a batch of it. I thought I'd bring you along to show you how I do it. This can be used for grilling or even for biochar if that's what you're into. It's simple, it's easy to do. You don't need any special equipment, no kiln, nothing convoluted like that. Why should you make your own charcoal? For one, to be able to say you grill your own food with charcoal you made yourself, it's just a badass thing to be able to say. This will be just one more thing you can add to your portfolio of badassery. We'll get into some more tangible reasons shortly, as if you needed any more reasons than that. But first, let's get this process started. I like to use a wood stove to do this. You don't have to have a wood stove. You can do this right on the ground. But I think a wood stove makes it just a little bit more efficient. For cooking, you want to use hardwood. If you're making biochar, you can use softwood or hardwood. I've heard some even claim softwood is better for biochar than hardwood. But when it comes to biochar, I don't know what to believe. With that, I think we're still trying to sort out the real science from the hippie science. When doing this, I like to make a couple layers to build a fire on top of. But there's really no secret here to what I'm doing. Just build a fire the way you like to build a fire. Using a couple pieces of fat wood here. I used a couple pieces of fat wood to get it started. For cooking, you don't want to use resinous woods, but those little pieces aren't going to make a difference. It'll all burn off. If anyone recognizes this wood stove, if you know the brand, who made it, let us know in the comments. This is a very classic design for them. Whoever has the answers to that, you'll win major channel points. The points aren't worth anything, but they'll be yours to keep. It's barely above freezing this morning, so this is a good morning to be working with a wood stove. While this gets going, might as well roll up a block of wood and get comfortable. I like using charcoal because I think it's just a better heat for grilling. Most people use gas grills, I think mostly out of convenience, because all you have to do is turn the knob and they're on. You don't have to do any work. Does that mean most people are lazy? Maybe, but I wouldn't hold it against them. Because for most people, the only alternative to gas they know is charcoal briquettes. If I had to use charcoal briquettes, I'd probably switch to gas too. Why? Because charcoal briquettes suck. A couple weeks ago, I was out of town. I got myself into a situation where I had to buy some charcoal briquettes. Just the idea of going to the store and have to buy and then use these things was painful. Just the idea of it. And I was suckered into getting these ones, instant lighting charcoal briquettes, which means they're soaked in lighter fluid. It did make them easier to light, but it says ready to cook in 15 minutes. They weren't ready to cook in 15 minutes. Well, they were, if you don't mind your food tasting like the curious petroleum flavored fumes that were still coming out of them. I don't like that very much. By the time the fumes had burned off, there was such a thick coating of ash over the briquettes, I couldn't get enough heat out of them to get a good sear. I had a thick roast to cook, and by the time I got a little bit of a sear out of it, the coals had already burned themselves almost out, and there was hardly any heat left. I couldn't do the slow cook part. The reason they burned out so fast is because the way they're making them now. It says, design promotes better airflow. What they did for that design is they made 2 grooves in each side. They say it's for better airflow. Well, I think it makes better airflow in the bag. It allows them to sell more air and less material. But it also causes them to burn out faster. Now what do? I have a half-cooked roast, and the coals have all burned out. I can't put more coals on it because I have to wait for them to burn off all the Well, even if it wasn't those type, even the regular briquettes, you still have to wait for them to heat up. There's still something in them that you have to burn off. I don't know what it is, but I don't like the flavor of it. What I had to do is I had to take the roast off, wait another 20-30 minutes to get another batch of coals hot. Then I was able to finish it. Forget about these things. With my charcoal, it lights easy. I don't even use lighter fluid. There are no weird fumes or flavors to burn off. It can be ready to cook in 10 minutes. If I need to add more, I can add it right on the fly. Don't have to wait for anything to burn off. It produces less ash and more heat than the briquettes do. And that's all on top of the most important factor, the badass factor. What we're doing here is we're just trying to make a nice bed of coals. I like using the small pieces because they turn into coals faster. Well, I'm gonna let this cook for a while. This may seem like it's a long process, but it's really not, because I just build a fire, come check on it once in a while, put some more wood in while I go do something else, then come back when it's done. Once I start getting a bed of coals, I like to always keep some wood on top of it. Keep some wood and fire on top of it, because the fire will help shield the coals from oxygen. If oxygen gets to the coals, they'll just burn up. There are a lot more efficient ways to make charcoal, but this is just an easy way to do it without having special equipment. When you get to the point where you have a nice bed of coals, but your wood's burning down to where you're going to be losing them faster than you're creating them, that's when it's time to get to work. Now you take a metal container with a lid. Now we're getting to the part of the video where you'll probably start wondering, why have I endured this whole video just to see something so simple? Something I could have figured out myself. Put a lid on it, snuff it out. Now you may be wondering why I have a shovel with duct tape covering the burnt off end of it. I don't want to talk about it. But that reminds me, make sure these are fully cold before you ever put them in anything flammable or near anything flammable. Better yet, don't ever put them in anything flammable. After that incident, I'll never do that again. This is what we ended up with. Charcoal. After these cool, I have about a 1/2 inch grate I use to screen them to get all the fines out. I only want the bigger chunks. If you do it on the ground, it's the same thing. Just burn a bunch of hardwood, get a nice bed of coals, shovel it into a metal container, close the lid, you're good. I know this is not the most efficient way of making charcoal, but it's simple, it's easy, it's what I have. I have an abundance of wood. Maybe someday I'll start doing it more efficiently, but for now, this works fine. If there's enough interest in this, maybe I will do a video about how I process it, maybe even how I do some grilling. But thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.